Hi everybody, welcome to Greystone Carving Studio. My name's Henry. For the next couple of weeks we're going to be looking at some chisels, and today I'm going to give an overview of all the kit that we use. You can see I've got quite a lot of kit here. I've got a lot of kit because my excuse for having a lot of kit is because I have students who learn, and we have about 8 people in this studio at a time. But this is just I'll stop digressing. Chisels. So I split them into 2 main types. You've got masonry chisels and carving chisels. However, I would say that you can use some of the masonry chisels for carving. And actually the process of carving would require the use of certain tools that can remove large amounts of material quickly. And so that gives you an introduction. So we start off, this is a tungsten tip pitcher. It's for removing large amounts of material with a shocking tool, and it's hammer headed. So kind of you've got hammer headed chisels, and then you've got mallet headed chisels, and so this end, we'll concentrate on this end of the bit of kit first. Mallet headed, hammer headed, and you can see the mallet headed have got a mushroom, and this is for use with a mallet, either a wooden mallet or a nylon mallet. And so that's that end, and they have a different quality of blow. So a hammer head can be more of a shock, it can be a cut, but for smaller cuts. And then the mallet headed, this is supposed to be an overview, so I'll just very quickly go through these. So mallet headed, hammer headed. This is a punch, which is a masonry punch, and this is for removing large amounts of materials. Again, hammer headed. And then you get smaller. So this is a punch, in fact, but it's very similar to this point. And the difference between a punch and a point is the punch has a kind of a flat end, like a chisel, like a flat chisel, whereas a point is for carving, purely for carving. And so you've got that. So this is actually a point. It could be sharper. Here is another hammer-headed. Well, this is a mallet-headed ragging out chisel. This is a lovely bit of kit. It's unusual in that it's got a square shank, and this is tungsten tipped. So you have the 2 kinds of ends. You have a tungsten tip chisel, and also you have what we call a fire sharp, which is hardened steel, hardened carbon steel. And the advantage of hardened carbon steel as opposed to tungsten is that it's sharper than tungsten. So with a soft material, a softer stone, you can get a nice, really lovely cut, but it doesn't stay sharp for as long as tungsten. So for harder materials, tungsten's a better option, although you can never quite get it as sharp as carbon steel. Masonry chisel. This is a claw, in fact. Tungsten tipped, mallet headed, masonry chisel, really good for removing, getting down to the surface before you use this chisel, which is for finishing. So that's for removing the last bit. And what I'll do is actually I'll come back and I'll go through each chisel individually. So the narrower the chisel, the more you can remove. Wider chisel, the kind of the broader the cut, the less you can remove, but the kind of smoother. So the smoother. So then we get on to some carving chisels. So these are kind of masonry chisels. Here's a 1/2 inch chisel, 1/2 inch masonry chisel, tungsten tip, mallet headed, really, really good for removing waste. And then you've got 1 inch, which is primarily for making drafts. And I'll explain what a draft is when we come to it. Draft. These are really lovely terms. Aris, draft, really nice masonry terms. And this is in fact a carving tool. This is a really nice little claw. Again, unusual, square shanked. These were made by JP Masonry Supplies. He's stopped making chisels for the time being, but I'm hoping he's going to come back to it, but we'll see. He used to make them the loveliest chisels, and most of what I have here is he made. I would say is I'm going to actually do a talk about where to get kit from and what's good kit, what's nice kit, and what's appropriate for what job, and I'll do that after I've kind of gone through the chisels. This is a nice tool. This is a fishtail, tungsten tipped fishtail, and this is a really useful tool for working close to arises, for working close to edges that you want to keep, and I will explain that when we get to it. So it's a very pretty tool, and the only disadvantage with it is it's quite delicate. You can't if you welly it, you'll break it. And then we come to the claws. This is a hammer-headed, fire-sharp claw, 4-sprong claw, and it is in effect 3 little chisels side by side, so you can remove a little bit more material than you would for a kind of, this is 12mm chisel, than you would with a flat 12mm chisel. I'll go through these. These are all flat chisels. There's some more, well, we'll probably do it from here. There's some more fish tails. And then we get to, and these are all for carving. So, and that's called a deer's foot, which is a 2-sprong fire sharp hammer-headed chisel. It's a very nice tool for carving. And it's fish-tailed as well. So when it's fish-tailed, it has that. And then we go on to these. I start to feel like I'm boring people. I really love chisels. So here is, let me get to this one first. This is called a bullnose. This is a tungsten tip bullnose. We got a load of these in because we were carving a wave pattern, and we were training people to make this really nice internal curve, and you can change the curves on these, and this is a tungsten tip curve. Often you can tell it's tungsten tip because you'll see a brazing line on the chisel where the tungsten's been inset into the carbon steel and then brazed. So this is a bullnose, and bullnosing is, that's it, bullnose, that's it, this rounded shape. And this is a little gouge, tiny little gouge, but also you'll see that the little gouge is bullnosed as well. So there's that shape as well as that shape. It's a lovely little tool. I've had this for ages. I bought this in a car boot sale in Weymouth. I went to college in Weymouth, and we used to go to car booties, and all the old masons, kind of children who, when the old masons had died, they would find these boxes of kit and then put them out on these car boots, so you get a really good deal. And so I've got that. There's another one actually. That's another car boot sale, and John would probably know who made these. It's called H. Cole. So that was a chisel maker, and that's been hand drawn. You can tell that it's been hand forged, hand drawn, and possibly out of a file or something like that. And these are some nice gouges, again square shank gouges. And we're getting to the end of it for the time being. So there is a claw, strangely enough, and that is a tungsten tipped bullnose claw, hammer-headed. I'm sure there's more chisels I can show you, but I'm going to stop there. So just that's a kind of brief overview of the kit. I'm boasting. This is the kit that I've got. So a brief overview of the kit, and we'll leave it there, and we'll go into more detail with each individual bit of tool and their uses over the next few weeks. So thank you for listening, and links in the thing below. Can we say that? All right, cheers. Thanks a lot.